Hey there, Dart nerds, double mechanics, and tungsten tacticians. Welcome back to DartBrain, the podcast where your darts don't always hit their target, but your insecurities never seem to miss. Today, we're tackling a heavyweight battle inside your dart brain: confidence versus self-doubt. If this were a boxing match, confidence would walk into the ring wearing a silk robe, calm, collected, and humming its walk-on song. Self-doubt, on the other hand, would already be shadowboxing in the corner, trash-talking you in your own voice and trying to convince you that you've forgotten how to throw entirely. Here's the thing: confidence is one of the most important guardians in your dart brain. In fact, back in episode 4, I said it straight out. Confidence is the guardian of guardians, the keystone, the captain of the mental team bus. Without it, the wheels wobble, the steering shakes, and eventually the chimp takes the wheel and drives you straight to Meltdown Motel. So what is confidence, really? Psychologist Albert Bandura called it self-efficacy, the belief in your ability to execute the skills you've practiced, especially under pressure. Robin Veely, who did some of the most important work on sports confidence, defined it as the belief or degree of certainty individuals possess about their ability to be successful in sport. Wow, that's a mouthful. Let me give it to you in a darts translation. Confidence is the voice in your head that says, "Yeah, I've hit this double before, and I can hit it again." Instead of the gremlin voice that whispers, "You've missed this double so many times, you might as well start crying now." But here's the kicker: confidence is fragile. It doesn't take much for self-doubt to sneak in. One sloppy throw, one missed double, one buddy in the pub reminding you that you blew a 3-0 lead last week, and boom, confidence wobbles. Because unlike steel-tipped darts, confidence isn't made of tungsten. It's more like Jenga blocks. You can build it tall, but pull out the wrong piece and suddenly it feels like the whole tower might collapse. That's what makes this episode so important. We're going to unpack confidence from a psychological perspective. What is it? Why do you need it? Why does it collapse so easily? And, most importantly, how do you make it resilient? We'll talk about the difference between focusing on the process versus obsessing about the outcome. Because, spoiler alert, confidence doesn't live on the scoreboard. It lives in your routines, your preparation, and your ability to keep throwing with purpose even when the scoreline isn't going your way. We'll talk about how routines build confidence, those little consistent habits that give you an anchor. If your pre-throw routine is solid, then even when the pressure is high, you have something steady to lean on. It's like muscle memory for your brain. The more consistent the routine, the more confidence you can borrow from it when the chimp starts panicking. And we'll connect confidence to resilience, the ability to bounce back. Because a confident player isn't someone who never misses, it's someone who can miss, shrug, reset, and still believe the next dart is going in. Confidence and resilience are like best friends. Self-doubt, meanwhile, hangs out with sulking and sabotage at the 7-Eleven down the street. Now, if you've been with us since episode 5, you'll remember we laid down 5 concrete tools to build your confidence: reframing your self-talk, standing like you believe it, practicing under pressure, talking to loved ones before competition, and tracking your past wins with a confidence log, or, as I like to call it, the cookie jar. In today's episode, we're going to expand on those tools, dive deeper into the psychology behind them, and show you how to turn confidence from a fragile balloon into something more like a dart barrel: heavy, balanced, and hard to break. So stick with me, because today we're putting self-doubt back in its cage and letting confidence take its rightful place at the hockey. Part 1. What is confidence? Psychology 101 with a tungsten twist. All right, let's start with the basics. What exactly is confidence? Because let's be honest, darts players throw around that word like Shane throws around excuses. Didn't hit the double because I wasn't confident. I need to get my confidence back. I lost my confidence after the first leg. Confidence has become this mysterious darting currency, something you either have in your pocket or you don't, like it's loose change you can accidentally leave in yesterday's jeans. But sports psychology gives us a more precise definition. Confidence isn't magic, it isn't luck, and it isn't something that disappears into the night like your practice routines after 3 pints. Albert Bandura described confidence, or self-efficacy, as your belief in your ability to successfully perform a specific skill in a specific situation. Notice the key words there: belief, ability, specific skill, specific situation. Confidence isn't a vague, "I'm awesome." That's cockiness. It's, "I believe I can execute this skill right here, right now. Let's translate. You walk up to the hockey needing 32 to win. Self-efficacy isn't believing you're destined to win the match. It's believing you can throw the dart into that little double 16 bed because you've done it thousands of times before. That's confidence. Robin Veely, a giant in the world of sports psychology, expanded on this and created a model of sports confidence. She broke confidence into three main sources. 1. Confidence from preparation, knowing you've put in the reps. 2. Confidence from performance, having a track record of hitting your shots. And 3. Confidence from self-regulation, trusting you can manage your focus, emotions, and nerves under pressure. If Bandura gave us the blueprint, Veely gave us the IKEA instruction manual. And yes, sometimes it feels just as confusing. But the big idea here is that confidence isn't just something you feel, it's built from very real, very practical sources. Confidence is context specific. Just because you're confident at home, smacking 180s in your basement, doesn't mean you'll automatically be confident in front of a crowd when Shane is heckling you about how long it takes you to add 57 to 32. Confidence doesn't teleport. It has to be rebuilt in each situation. This is why confidence is fragile. It's not a permanent state. It's a moment-by-moment belief system. One wobble, one missed dart, one chimp scream in your head, and the gremlin of self-doubt barges in like it owns the place. Now let me make a critical point here. Confidence is not arrogance. A lot of players confuse the two. Arrogance is strutting up to the hockey thinking, I can't miss. Confidence is walking up saying, I know I've done this before and I can do it again. Arrogance ignores reality. Confidence builds on it. That distinction matters because arrogance crumbles as soon as you miss. Confidence bends, but it doesn't break. Another way to think about confidence is this. It's a psychological green light. When you're confident, your brain says, proceed, you've got this. Your muscles stay loose, your focus narrows just enough, and you throw smooth. When self-doubt takes over, the brain slams on the brakes. Suddenly you're tight, hesitant, second-guessing. And what happens? That perfect double 16 turns into a single 7. Let's back this with some research. Studies across sports show that high-confidence athletes perform better under pressure. You're probably not surprised by that. But they're more consistent, more resilient, and less likely to choke. Why? Because confidence reduces overthinking. When you believe in your ability, you free up mental resources to just execute. Without confidence, your working memory clogs up with doubt, and your body can't do what it knows how to do. So confidence isn't some mysterious darting luck. It's a belief system rooted in preparation, performance history, and emotional regulation. And it's fragile because it's context-specific, tied to the situation in front of you. That's why players who are making a breakthrough and starting to get better results sometimes falter in big matches or the finals, because they don't have the context built yet. They haven't tested their confidence in those situations. And here's why this matters. If confidence is built, then it can be rebuilt. If confidence can grow, it can regrow. It isn't a personality trait. It's not something you're born with or without. It's a skill, a trainable, buildable, protectable skill, like all your guardians. Which means that every darts player, from the pub rookie to the PDC Tour card holder, has the power to strengthen it. And that's what we're going to do in this episode. Part 2. Why confidence is fragile. Confidence is a funny thing. One minute you're strutting up to the hockey like a rock star with your walk-on song blasting in your head. The next, you've missed a double by a country mile and suddenly you're wondering if you've been holding the dart backwards your whole life. That's because confidence, as powerful as it is also fragile. It wobbles, it dips, it collapses faster than Shane's diet plan after he walks past a kebab shop. But here's the truth. Confidence is supposed to rise and fall. It's not broken when it dips. It's just part of how it works. Think of confidence like a wave. It rises when you're well prepared, when you've been putting in deliberate, focused practice and you're hitting your spots. It rises again when you're stringing together good results, winning legs, taking out checkouts. That's when confidence swells, carries you, and makes you feel untouchable. But then you miss a few doubles, you lose a match you felt you should have won, preparation slips, suddenly the wave crashes, and you feel like your confidence has disappeared entirely. Here's the critical reminder. Your skill hasn't gone anywhere. Skill, when you're practicing deliberately, rises steadily like the tide. It doesn't crash with every lost leg. It doesn't vanish because you missed tops 3 darts in a row. Confidence is perception, but skill is reality. When you're low on confidence, what's really happening is that your belief has wobbled, not your ability. This is one of the biggest mistakes players make. They confuse a confidence dip with a skill dip. They think, I've lost it, but you haven't lost it. You've only lost sight of it. That's why the best players in the world can keep performing even when their confidence is shaky. They trust the tide of their skill, even when the wave of confidence is at a low ebb. So why does confidence fall so quickly? Let's look at some mental potholes that make confidence stumble. 1. Outcome obsession. When you tie your confidence to results instead of process, you're setting yourself up for a roller coaster. Win and you feel on top of the world. Lose and you feel worthless. The problem? Results are never fully in your control. Your opponent can play the game of their life. The dart can catch the wire. A single bounce out can flip a leg. If your confidence depends only on results, you're building it on quicksand. 2. Comparison. Self-doubt loves to whisper, you're not as good as them. You see your opponent smacking in 140s and suddenly your solid 60 feels like garbage. But comparison is a trap. As Theodore Roosevelt said, comparison is the thief of joy. In darts, it's also the thief of confidence. 3. Routine breakdowns. Routines are anchors. When they're solid, you have something stable to lean on under pressure. But when routines slip, you speed up because you're nervous or you overthink and slow down, and your gremlins sneak in. Suddenly, you feel lost. This is why it's so important to practice your routines so they don't slip when your confidence takes a hit. And 4. Chimp takeovers. Let's not forget about the chimp brain. The chimp is emotional, reactive, and always looking for danger. When the chimp senses pressure, it panics. And when the chimp panics, self-doubt surges. That's why it's almost impossible to argue yourself back into confidence mid-meltdown. Prevention is the best medicine, which means building habits and anchors before the chimp gets the keys to the bus. Now here's the good news. While confidence is fragile, it's also trainable. Think of it like a muscle. It gets sore. It can weaken if you neglect it. But with consistent training, it gets stronger, more resilient, more reliable. That's why you'll sometimes hear pros say things like, I knew I'd win eventually. I just had to stick with it. They're not saying they had unshakable arrogance. They're saying they trusted the tide of their skill. They knew the wave of confidence would come back because they had built their ability on solid practice. So here's how I recommend you use this wave concept in your own game. First, when confidence is high, ride it. Let it carry you. But don't get arrogant. Remember, the wave can crash, and it's likely it will at some point. Next, when confidence is low, remind yourself your skill hasn't changed. The tide is still rising if you're practicing deliberately. Low confidence doesn't mean low ability. And finally, anchor yourself in process. Confidence waves will always rise and fall, but process, how you throw, how you focus, how you stick to your routines, keep you steady no matter what. So next time your confidence feels like it's gone missing, don't panic. Don't throw your darts in the bin or start Googling cures for dartitis at 2 a.m. Just remind yourself, confidence is a wave. It rises, it falls, but the tide of your skill is always there, quietly, steadily climbing. Confidence may scream in your head when it's low, but your skill is whispering, relax. You still know how to do this. Part 3, how to grow your confidence and make it resilient. So now we know, confidence is fragile. It rises, it falls, it crashes like Shane's Wi-Fi when he forgets to pay the bill. But fragile doesn't mean useless. It means we need to understand how to build it, protect it, and make it more resilient. Think of confidence like a dartboard hung outside. If it's made of cardboard, the first bit of rain destroys it. But if it's bristle with a proper surround, it holds up. The difference isn't whether it rains. It always rains. The difference is whether you've weatherproofed your confidence. Here's mistake number 1 most players make. They tie their confidence to outcomes. I feel confident when I win. I'll feel confident if I hit a 180. But that's like saying, I'll only eat if someone brings me cake. You've outsourced your nourishment. You've outsourced your belief. Outcomes are never fully in your control. They depend on your opponent, the conditions, sometimes even pure luck. If your confidence lives in outcomes, it will rise and fall like the stock market. Instead, real confidence is built on process. Did I stick to my routine? Did I focus on one dart at a time? Did I throw with trust, not tension? When you root your confidence in process, it stabilizes. You can lose a match and still walk away confident because you trusted your process. You can even average lower than usual and still feel good because you kept your head and stuck to your plan, which, even if you're struggling, is the best chance you have to win anyways. So why would you do anything else? This is why coaches in every sport drill in the mantra, control the controllables. Confidence isn't about guaranteeing results. It's about guaranteeing that you'll do what you set out to do regardless of the scoreboard. Peter Snakebite Wright is the human embodiment of resilience and confidence. Here's a guy who lost in his first World Championship final in 2014. Then he lost again in countless majors. For years, he was the bridesmaid, never the bride. Lesser players would have crumbled under the weight of self-doubt. But Wright kept working. He kept practicing, refining, and, most importantly, telling himself, I can win one of these. Eventually, in 2020, he did, beating MVG in the Ali Pali final. And then, just to prove it wasn't a fluke, he did it again in 2022. Snakebite's story proves that confidence and resilience aren't just about surviving one bad night. They're about persisting through setbacks until the payoff comes. Consistency in routines. Confidence anchors. Routines are like tent pegs in a storm. Without them, confidence gets blown around in the wind. With them, you've got something to hold on to. Every pro has a routine, even if it doesn't look dramatic. Some line up their feet, take a breath, look at the target the same way. Others have quirky little rituals, tap the thigh, bounce the dart, whisper a word. But the routine isn't for style points, it's for stability. When pressure hits, routines anchor you. They give you a sense of, I know what comes next. That familiarity breeds calm, and calm breeds confidence. This is why breaking routines is so dangerous. If you rush, or suddenly slow down, or let nerves hijack your rhythm, you give self-doubt an opening. The chimp brain screams, something's wrong, and your confidence plummets. So if you want more resilient confidence, make your routine non-negotiable. Practice it, protect it, treat it like your darting fingerprint, unique to you and always there. Gary Anderson has one of the smoothest throws in darts, but what people often forget is how much his confidence was tested. In the 2015 World Championship final facing Phil Taylor, the Phil Taylor, Anderson looked like the underdog. Taylor's aura of invincibility was real, and most players wilted in that spotlight. But Anderson stood tall. He didn't play the name, he played the board. He kept his routine steady, kept his confidence rooted in process, and won his first World Championship. That victory wasn't just about skill, it was about resilience against the intimidation factor of Taylor's legacy. Confidence and resilience are basically inseparable. Confidence is the belief I can do this. Resilience is the belief I can bounce back when I don't. Put them together and you've got a player who can survive anything. When you're confident, misses don't destroy you. They challenge you. You can shrug, reset, and hit the next dart. When you lack confidence, every miss feels like a disaster. You spiral, you collapse. Research backs this up. Athletes with higher confidence are more resilient under pressure. They interpret mistakes as temporary, not permanent. Instead of thinking, I always miss doubles, they think, that was one off, but the next one's mine. And here's a funny paradox. Resilience feeds confidence too. Every time you bounce back from a miss, you prove to yourself that you can. And every time you prove it, your confidence grows. It's a feedback loop, a positive spiral. Here's a great story about resilience and confidence. Fallon Sherrock's 2019 World Championship run was one of the greatest confidence stories in darts history. Walking into Alexandra Palace, she wasn't just another debutante. She was carrying the weight of expectation, criticism, and the pressure of being the only woman in the draw that year. That's a confidence stress test if there ever was one. She didn't just survive it, she thrived, taking out Ted Evans and Mensur Suljovic with the whole world watching. The skill was there, sure, but what made it historic was her confidence. She trusted herself in the biggest moment of her life. That run shows exactly what we mean by confidence turning resilience into performance. Fallon could have collapsed under the chimp screaming, "Don't mess this up!" Instead, she fed the Guardian, shut down the Gremlin, and walked into Dart's history. Why confidence helps you play better. Let's get scientific for a second. Why does confidence actually improve performance? Here are 4 reasons. 1. It frees up working memory. When you're confident, you don't overthink. You let your body do what it's trained to do. Studies show that overthinking under pressure, called paralysis by analysis, is one of the fastest ways to choke. Confidence short-circuits that process. 2. It reduces anxiety. Confidence tells your nervous system, you've been here before. Relax. And a relaxed throw is almost always a better throw. 3. It sharpens focus. Confident players are better at locking in on the target. Doubt scatters attention. Confidence narrows it. And 4. It changes body language. Standing tall, breathing steady, routine consistent. All of this feeds back into your mind. Remember Amy Cuddy's work on power poses from episode 3? Confidence changes your body, and your body reinforces confidence. So it's not just that confidence feels good, it literally sets up the psychological and physical conditions for your best darts to appear. Okay, so how do you actually turn confidence from fragile glass into toughened tungsten? Here are some principles. 1. Detach from outcomes. Anchor your confidence in preparation, process, and routines. You can win playing poorly, and you can lose playing awesome. Your goal is to follow your process and play your best no matter the outcome. 2. Make routines sacred. Don't just practice your throw, practice your pre-through sequence until it's second nature. 3. Collect evidence. Keep a confidence log. More on that later in this episode. Build a bank of proof that you can do this. 4. Practice under pressure. Deliberately simulate stress so that you prove to yourself you can handle it. And 5. Stand like you believe it. Use body language to signal to yourself, I've got this. Each of these is a way of weatherproofing your confidence. They won't make you invincible. You'll still miss. You'll still wobble. But instead of collapsing, you'll bounce. So here's the takeaway. Confidence is fragile if you treat it like luck, but it becomes resilient when you treat it like skill. Rooted in processes, not outcomes. Anchor it in routines, not randomness. Pair it with resilience so that misses become challenges, not catastrophes. Because confidence isn't just about strutting up to the oki like you own the place, it's about standing there quietly, calmly, and knowing, I've done this before, I can do it again. That's real confidence, the kind that doesn't just rise and fall with the wave, but builds steadily with the tide. Part 4. 5 tools to build confidence, revisited and reinforced. Back in episode 5, we introduced 5 practical tools to build confidence. But here's the thing. Confidence isn't like a one-time home repair. You don't just tighten a loose screw and never think about it again. It's more like regular maintenance. Ignore it and the whole structure wobbles. Work on it and it holds steady. So let's revisit those 5 tools, and this time we're going to dig a bit deeper. Because each of them isn't just a trick. They're real, evidence-based strategies for making confidence resilient. Tool number 1. Reframing self-talk. The words you say to yourself matter. Every dart player has an internal commentator. The question is your commentator a helpful coach or a bitter ex with a megaphone? This isn't cheesy positive thinking. It's cognitive reframing, a well-researched method in psychology that helps shift focus from catastrophic thinking to constructive thinking. Rob Cross's 2018 World Championship win is a perfect example of this in action. Here's a guy who, on paper, had no business outdueling Phil Taylor on his Alley Pally farewell tour. The chimp in his head could have been screaming, "You're not ready, you're a rookie, don't choke, it's Phil Taylor." Instead, Cross kept his self-talk simple and constructive. His preparation gave him belief, and his belief became his voice. He didn't try to convince himself he was destined to win. He told himself he could execute the throw in front of him. That's reframing in action. So next time you hear the gremlin muttering doom in your head, don't argue with it. Reframe it. Turn the criticism into a cue. Tool number 2. Standing like you believe it. Body language and power poses. We covered Amy Cuddy's famous power poses in episode 3. Stand tall, open posture, chin up, Your body language sends signals not only to your opponent, but to your own nervous system. The research shows that this isn't just fluff. Power poses can reduce cortisol, the stress hormone, and increase testosterone, the dominance hormone, tipping your psychology toward confidence. In Dart terms, stand like you own the Aki, and your brain is more likely to follow. This is where Michael Van Gerwen's story fits beautifully. During his slump in 2020 to 2021, one of the most noticeable changes wasn't just his results, it was his body language. He looked tight, less assured, less commanding. Compare this to his peak years, striding up, dominating presence, radiating belief. Once he rebuilt his confidence, his body language snapped back. Shoulders square, eyes fierce, routine sharp. It's a reminder that how you stand, breathe, and carry yourself isn't cosmetic. It's a confidence lever. So when you're at the line, check your stance. Are you slouched, shrinking, doubting, or are you standing like someone who's been here before and knows how to finish? Even if you don't feel confident, you can stand confident, and often the feeling catches up. Tool number 3, practicing under pressure. Anyone can hit doubles in the comfort of their garage. The question is, can you hit them when the match is on the line, when your opponent is sitting on 40 and the chimp is screaming, "Don't miss"? That's where pressure practice comes in. Set up drills that can simulate stress. Give yourself a 1 dart at a double. Put a consequence on misses, like moving back a step in 121 or buying Shane's drinks at the next tournament, which is financial pressure nobody needs. Rob Cross, again, is a masterclass here. His rise wasn't built on decades of experience. It was built on deliberate practice and throwing himself into competitive pressure quickly. By the time he hit Ali Pali, he'd already simulated those pressure moments so many times that he didn't collapse when the real thing came. Practicing under pressure makes confidence transferable from the practice board to the stage. So if you want resilient confidence, don't just practice what's comfortable, practice what's terrifying. Because once you faced it in practice, you'll face it with more belief in competition. Tool number 4, talking to loved ones before competition. This one surprises people. How does a quick chat with your partner, your kids, or even your darting mates build confidence? Simple. It grounds you. It reminds you that darts is something you do, not who you are. Confidence thrives when perspective is healthy. When you tie your identity too tightly to results, every loss feels like a personal failure. But when you connect with people who remind you that you're more than just a scoreline, confidence becomes steadier. Sports psychology research backs this up. Athletes who feel socially supported are less likely to experience debilitating anxiety, and less anxiety means steadier confidence. So yes, even a quick call to your Nan before league night can help, because Nan doesn't care if you average 100 or 50. She just cares that you're having a go. That reminder makes confidence more resilient. And finally, tool 5, tracking past wins, the confidence log or the cookie jar. Finally, one of my favorites, the confidence log, or as I like to call it, the cookie jar. Every time you succeed, whether it's a 180, a checkout, a tournament win, or just a solid practice session, write it down, collect it, save it. Because when your confidence dips, you need evidence to shove in self-doubt's face. This is what MVG relied on during his slump. Even when results weren't going his way, he never forgot that he had a mountain of past wins in his cookie jar. That history gave him something to lean on. As he famously said, "I've done this before, I'll do it again." And sure enough, he rebuilt, returned, and reminded everyone why he's still Mighty Mike. The cookie jar works because self-doubt is loud, but it's rarely accurate. When you're in a slump, the gremlin says, "You always miss." The cookie jar answers, "Really? Here's 37 times I didn't." It's hard to argue with the receipts. So keep your log. Whether it's a notebook, an app, or sticky notes on your dartboard surround, build your bank of belief. Then, when the wave of confidence crashes, you've got proof that the tide of your skill is still there. And here's another layer to the cookie jar. Don't just write down your wins. Put them on display. Trophies, medals, plaques, or even that slightly crooked highest checkout certificate from league night. These aren't just dust collectors, they're confidence anchors. Every time you walk past them, they remind you, "I've done this before." In psychology, this is called a cue of competence, a visual trigger that reinforces your belief in your ability. It's why athletes decorate their walls with medals or frame their big wins. Confidence isn't built on wishful thinking, it's built on evidence, and trophies are the shinier, heavier kind of evidence. So those are the 5 tools revisited. Reframe your self-talk, stand like you believe it, practice under pressure, talk to loved ones, and track your past wins. Each one is a way of weatherproofing your confidence. They don't eliminate self-doubt. The gremlin will always whisper, but they turn the volume down, and they give your confidence guardian the upper hand. Confidence may rise and fall like a wave, but with these tools, you're not just waiting for the wave, you're building the tide. All right, let's hit the recap bullseye. Today, we've taken a deep dive into confidence versus self-doubt, one of the most important battles inside your Dart brain. We started by asking, what is confidence really? Not just a feeling, not just a lucky streak, but in psychological terms. The belief in your ability to execute the skills you've practiced in the moment you need them. Bandura called this self-efficacy. Veely gave us the sports confidence model. In Dart terms, it's the quiet inner voice saying, I've hit this before, I can hit it again. Then we looked at why confidence is fragile. It rises and falls like a wave, influenced by preparation, results, comparison, and the chimp brain. But the tide of your skill, if you're practicing deliberately, rises steadily underneath it. That's the key reminder. Low confidence doesn't mean low ability. It means your perception has wobbled, not your skill. From there, we explored how to make confidence resilient by rooting it in processes, not outcomes. By protecting it with routines, by pairing it with resilience, bouncing back instead of spiraling down. And by remembering that confidence isn't just fluff. It literally changes your psychology, your focus, your anxiety levels, and ultimately, your results. And finally, we revisited the 5 practical tools to build confidence. 1. Reframing self-talk, turning the chimp's panic into the professor's calm coaching. 2. Standing like you believe it. Power poses and body language shape your psychology. 3. Practicing under pressure. Simulating stress so belief transfers from practice to play. 4. Talking to loved ones before competition, grounding yourself in support and perspective. And 5. Tracking your past wins and displaying them. The cookie jar and the trophy shelf reminding you of your evidence bank. And here's where we tie it back to the DartBrain model. In episode 4, I said confidence is the most important guardian, the guardian of guardians. Why? Because every other guardian, optimism, positive imagery, enjoyment, regulation, is amplified when confidence is strong. And every gremlin, self-doubt, negativity, stress, fatigue, is louder when confidence is weak. Confidence doesn't just hold its own ground, it tips the whole battlefield. So here's your call to action. This week, I want you to pick one confidence tool and put it into practice. Not a full personality transplant, just one. Maybe it's starting a confidence log. Maybe it's rehearsing your pre-throw routine until it feels like a fingerprint. Maybe it's standing like you believe it even when you don't. Or maybe it's calling your nan before league night and letting her remind you that you're brilliant just for showing up. Pick one, practice it, and pay attention to how it changes your confidence. Not in a month, not in a season, but in your very next throw. Because here's the truth. Confidence doesn't magically arrive with wins. Wins arrive with confidence. And remember, confidence isn't about arrogance, strutting up to the Aki like you're auditioning for a boy band reunion tour. It's about trusting your process, trusting your preparation, and trusting yourself, especially when self-doubt is screaming the loudest. Build your guardian of confidence, feed it, protect it, and the next time self-doubt tries to whisper, you'll have the tools and the trophies to answer back. Here's your final takeaway. Confidence is not a gift from the darting gods. It's a cycle you create. It's a guardian you feed. Every practice, every routine, every reframed thought adds to it. And when the wave inevitably crashes, you can trust that the tide of your skill is still there to carry you back up. And when the wave inevitably crashes, you can trust that the tide of your skill is still there to carry you back up. In this episode, we looked at the psychology of confidence. And next week, we're going to see it lived out in real darts experience. I'll be sitting down with Canadian PDC Tour card holder Jim the Gentleman Long. We'll talk about how pros build confidence on the big stage and how he handles the dips and how he keeps the loop turning in his favor when the pressure is at its peak. You won't want to miss it. So until then, take a breath, trust your throw, and for the love of tungsten, don't let the monkey drive the bus. This has been DartBrain. I'm Clint Clarkson. Until next time, stay focused, throw with purpose, and train your DartBrain.